Kuzangpo and a very warm welcome to this week's edition of Bhutan This Week with me, Sonam Wangdi. Our top stories of the week. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gelson attended the Namgye Tongche prayers in Tashishazong today. His Majesty the 4th Drugelpo opened an exhibition titled A Tribute to Drugel Shipa in Royal Textile Academy. Hundreds of devotees are attending a prayer ceremony presided over by His Holiness the Jekhempo in Lhunsi. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gelson attended the Namgye Tongche prayers at the Kinre of the Tashishazong. The prayers were performed by monks from the central monastic body led by the Doji Lebe. The ceremony was also attended by cabinet ministers, chief justice and member of parliament. Following the prayers, their majesties circumambulated the Namgye Mikikhor. Meanwhile, the sacred relics were also put up for public veneration at the courtyard of the Tashishazong. Nathan Chutu Thonde was also unfurled for public veneration. Hundreds of devotees received blessings from the Thonde. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gelson granted an audience to the people of Sakten Gyeok, students and teachers of Sakten Lower Secondary School. His Majesty also hosted Tokha and their Majesties spent time interacting with the locals there.
Following a successful and fruitful visit to Merak Gyeok, their Majesties travelled on foot from Merak to Sakteng on Thursday. Their Majesties travelled for 8 hours, following the ancient route between Merak and Sakteng and crossing the strenuous Nyakchungla Pass. Nyakchungla is over 4,000 meters above sea level. It rained almost throughout the day, as if the tiring journey was not enough. Their Majesties had to walk through slippery and leech-infested path. The Trungkhak administration, students and local residents received their Majesties in Sakteng yesterday evening, and their Majesties granted an audience to people of Sakteng Gyeok. Their Majesties were escorted in a traditional Chibdar procession to ceremonial ground where thousands of locals gathered to welcome and meet their Majesties. His Majesty granted Tokha to the public. His Royal Highness Gyatsob Jimi Doji Wangchu and Ashi Yitso are accompanying their Majesties. Through a lucky draw, His Majesty granted suira to the people. Essential items like television, radio sets, chainsaw, milk churner, mobile phones, greenhouse, tents, water boilers, rice cookers and curry cookers were granted as suiras, boosting the festive mood. The locals performed the rare yacham, unique to their culture. Towards the afternoon, their Majesties visited the Ujul Haga to offer prayers. Sakteng Trungkhak staff and people of Sakteng, led by Sakteng Tuku, offered Kusum Thugi Mende to their Majesties. Later, their Majesties visited Borangma village, which is about 30 minutes walk from Sakteng. Their Majesties personally visited almost every home in the village and interacted with the people. Today, their Majesties granted an audience to the students and teachers of Sakteng Lower Secondary School. His Majesty advised the students to study hard and make best use of their knowledge. His Majesty granted jackets, geometry boxes and books to the children. Sakteng Lower Secondary School has some 300 students and 12 teachers. The people of Sakteng Gyeok offered yaks, sheep, horses and dogs in honor of their Majesty's visit to their village. His Majesty expressed his appreciation to the people for the offerings and returned the animals to the community. A tokha and various traditional cultural dances including a chilhamo were performed. Later in the afternoon, Their Majesties visited Hagas and homes in and around Sakting village and interacted with people. Tomorrow, His Majesty the King will visit schools in Rangjung on the way to Tashigang. For Pimanamge, Sonamugen, BBS News.
After spending around a week in Merak and Sakten Gyeoks, His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gyaltsen travelled to Tashkang from Sakten. Their Majesties spent 3 days each in Merak and Sakten Gyeoks and met with the people.
On their way back to Tashkang from Sakten, thousands of people lined along the way to offer Tsokchang to His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gyaltsen. People gathered at different locations like Thangrong, Yabrang, Saling, Rangjung and Lungten Zampa to personally greet their Majesties. The rain that lasted throughout the evening until midnight did not deter people from waiting and meeting their Majesties in Lungten Zampa. Hundreds of people waited till midnight in Lungten Zampa to offer Tsokchang and meet their Majesties. Their Majesties took time to interact with the people personally. Their Majesties also visited Rangjung Yesol Choling Dratsang, Rangjung Higher Secondary School and the Technical Training Institute and granted an audience to teachers, trainees and students. It was past midnight when Their Majesties finally arrived in Trashigang. Compiled for Pema Namge, Nirub Gyaltsen for BBS News.
His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo opened an exhibition titled A Tribute to Dugil Shipa in Royal Textile Academy. The Textile Museum under the Home Ministry and Royal Textile Academy organized the event to pay homage to His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo.
His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo inaugurated the exhibition. Their Majesties the Queen Mothers also graced the event for the royal viewing. The exhibition showcases His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo's namza, crowns, photographs and other memorabilia from the Textile Museum's permanent collection. Some are also borrowed from the members of the royal family and other individuals. The exhibition narrates the journey of His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo from His Majesty's auspicious birth through His Majesty's reign till abdication. The exhibition is to commemorate the 60th birth anniversary of His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo. It was on 2nd June 1974 that His Majesty was officially enthroned as the Fourth Druk Gyalpo and became the youngest monarch in the world. Bhutan saw enormous progress in the glorious reign of His Majesty the Fourth Druk Gyalpo. In his reign, Bhutan established its status as independent and sovereign nation.
Coinciding with the auspicious day of the Lord Buddha's Parinirvana, monks led by His Holiness the J. Khenpo performed prayers at Namduling Gemba in Lhunsi. It is being performed mainly for the victims of the recent earthquake in Nepal. Lam Netins and Dzongkhag officials from the 6 Eastern Dzongkhags offered Kusungthugi Mende to His Holiness the J. Khenpo. Hundreds of devotees are also there to offer prayers and receive blessings from His Holiness the J. Khenpo. His Holiness will perform Tsepame Tsobum for the next 3 days. His Holiness is currently on a retreat at Namduling Gemba. Her Majesty the Gyaltsen turned 25 today. The day was celebrated at the Linkana Palace. Coinciding with Her Majesty's birthday, the World Environment Day was also marked. Her Majesty is the patron of the environment sector.
Representatives from the cabinet, opposition, armed forces, government, Tatha, civil society organizations and private sector offered birthday wishes to Her Majesty the Gyaltsen for Her Majesty's birth anniversary at the Linkana Palace. The wives of the armed force personnel displayed flower exhibition in the palace grounds for the occasion. Roses, local orchids, globe lily, iris and oriental lily were some of the flowers displayed at the palace. Her Majesty the Gyaltsen graced the celebration of the World Environment Day in Bhutan. The theme this year is 7 billion dreams, one planet, consumed with care. The theme expresses the concept of sustainable development and consumption. In line with the theme, Her Majesty the Gyaltsen launched the youth action of 4 Hours Club in schools. The club is initiated with the idea to institutionalize sustainable waste management in 9 schools of the Thimphu Thomde with the objective to instill sound waste management. Her Majesty the Gyaltsen also launched the demonstration project on holistic waste management towards a zero-waste society. Also to mark the day, Her Majesty the Gyaltsen launched sustainability and efficiency towards paperless government. It is a project being worked on by various ministries and task force to reduce paper use in government offices, thereby increasing environmental sustainability while simultaneously reducing costs. Meanwhile, an exhibition on waste management was also held with the theme Young Innovative Minds in Waste Management. 6 schools in Thimphu took part in the competition. Her Majesty the Gyaltsen awarded prizes and certificates to the winners. 4th of June is celebrated in Bhutan as the World Environment Day, coinciding with Her Majesty's birthday, in honor of Her Majesty's guidance and initiatives in environment protection.
Bhutan sets Guinness World Record by planting 49,672 saplings with 100 volunteers within an hour. The planting race began at Kunsal Phodrang in Thimphu at 8 a.m. on the 2nd of June. The volunteers, all civilians, had planted 50,000 saplings in a bid to break the previous record held by the Indian state of Assam. They had planted 40,885 saplings 3 years ago. Of the total, 328 saplings were not counted as they failed to meet the set standard.
Her Majesty the Queen Mother Doji Wangmo Wangchuk, who was the chief guest at the event, said Bhutan has made history by living the policies the country's forefathers had put in place. Her Majesty addressed the volunteers before the massive plantation began.
It is befitting that our very first endeavor for a world record is in enhancing the environment. As we all know, His Majesty, the 4th King of Bhutan, is a visionary leader who emphasized conservation of the environment long before the world acknowledged its importance. Sons of the Pelden Dukpa, sons of the People's King, your King, Jigme Kisa Namgyal Wangchuk, the whole nation is with you.
The volunteers, all energized and ready to make history, then dispersed to the designated area monitored by 10 stewards. As the countdown began, the volunteers positioned strategically on the slopes of Kunsal Phodrang waited for the official flag off.
2, 1, go!
As soon as the clock struck 8, the volunteers began planting vigorously, retaining the same energy throughout the hour-long plantation.
It looks good. It looks very good. They're working very hard. They're sweating away like anything. And everybody's encouraging them, so it's good to see. It makes you feel very good because it is a world record. So you are the best in the world.
Of the 10 different groups monitored by respective stewards, some of them finished early and helped other groups.
3, 2, 1, stop!
Exactly at 9 a.m., a chorus of victorious shout erupted amongst the volunteers and spectators for setting the world record. The volunteers, smeared with dirt and drenched in sweat, celebrated the moment with songs and cheers of triumph.
everyone was really inspired and we could really do it. Everyone's really inspired.
Misicina lu jema subi la chi tanga chara gakhamna lu tamba Guinness record ta tu gotam item be wala officially be dan be do tari dinalu achi chara misicina lu te jesubi to da tan mom chi chungni mesno dive te dinalu chama to mi di te tari chi dubde lejum ten nam sam sem guys chune ben
nadi gachi besem mi lo du ge khapki minam kin gara sem guys shunela
진주 깨지기be 신주 안베 남삼명같이 니란디기be 일라
고담방 아체레 카톨레데 가데 베송가 세노섬 땅이라 인위에 등가체레 카톨레데 짝인.
The volunteers, all men, had geared up for the big day by going through rigorous practice for the last 10 days.
So, with a total of 49,607.
We believe in protecting our environment, and this surfaced today. It manifested today. You have done your country proud. You have done each and every Bhutanese citizen proud. You have done your king, Digmi Singye Wanchuk, and your king, the fifth king, very, very proud. I, from the bottom of my heart, I salute you. We have done it.
The plantation is Pixar's initiative in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Forests. Pixar's project coordinator Karma Sring said, if the record is broken, Bhutan will set it again. Ishori Gurung, BBS News.
Over 90 Thokpas from Chuka and Thimphu were trained in Nangkhan Nadi or mediation. The training is being organized by the Bhutan National Legal Institute in Chuka. Her Royal Highness Princess Sonam Dechen Wangchuk, the President of the Bhutan National Legal Institute, graced the opening.
The Bhutan National Legal Institute first trained 205 mummies in 2012. The following year, 130 female local leaders were also trained. Kilne Dema took part in the training in 2013. She said, mediating local disputes have now become easier. A lot of issues crop up in our village. Even if a cow gets into someone's field, it becomes an issue. In the past, there were some instances like this which even went to court. Nowadays, when a cow eats someone's crops, we go to the site and mediate between the two parties. This training will help a lot.
After I go back to my chiok, I feel it won't be difficult to handle disputes like in the past. I'll be able to mediate issues easily now. I think that this training will really help. I'm looking forward to it.
The 6-day training is expected to enhance community involvement in the dispute resolution process. Participants will be trained to mediate disputes in the communities and analyze issues in disputes and devise solutions. They will also be familiarized with the laws. Compiled for Tenzin Rabge in Finsoling, Sonam Chudan for BBS News.
Student representatives of 153 democracy clubs from different schools in the country signed the constitution of the Bhutan Children's Parliament. The Election Commission organized the ceremony in the sacred Kinre of Punakazong. The constitution of the Bhutan Children's Parliament is first of its kind in the country.
The signing ceremony was held today coinciding with the coronation of His Majesty the 4th Tugyalpo. The Chief Election Commissioner Tashukunzawandi said it will help children to hone their leadership skills and voice their ideas, thoughts and feelings. Speaker Jigme Zangpo, who was also at the event, said more female students will be encouraged to participate in the democratic system in future.
I think that it is very beneficial for our students because with such kind of practices we can learn and we can get the experience for becoming a future leaders of the country. And with such experiences, we can be well informed and well practiced in governing our country, and also we can know what kind of processes are involved in the decision-making processes, and we will be able to improve our country and our government system.
ngare charu mam tele mangsirin semidi gazum china ngai hago supchi sujuni inla
di darele kozonte kelon chodu tan kelon chote nam tapule chubi kedingi mimon chubi jedo bedozum nache alu chubi yang beni gogo thuni imbe.
The Bhutan Children's Parliament website and the second edition of the Democracy Club magazine 2015 were also launched. The Children's Parliament will serve as a platform for the democracy clubs to come together and contribute towards policy options regarding children and current issues. The Children's Parliament will convene at least once in a year, presided by the elected speaker and chairperson. The duration of the session will be for a week, and the tenure of the elected members will be 2 years. Compiled for Chunidema in Punakha, Tenzin Doji, PBS News.
Well, that is all we have for you this week. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend.